struggles. That's a really good way to succeed in the academy. Somebody who says, I'm going to be right there on the picket lines with the adjuncts. And I'm going to be demanding that part-time adjuncts have health care at the university. You're not going to be very popular. You are absolutely right, Slavoj, about the United States. And the result of that is my entire family, but me in particular, has thrown my lot in with the Sanders campaign. Now, why? Because he uses the word socialism. Just having that word in public debates. So I am a community connector in the Sanders campaign. And I got assigned to the taxi drivers and the police. And that isn't exactly what I thought I would be assigned to. Taxi drivers in the United States were once part of a unionized workforce. They've lost their union like 30 years ago. Now people who come into this country and don't have green cards work as taxi drivers because that's one of the jobs open to them, and that's one of the only jobs open to them. And restaurant workers were also, and you guys have gratuities, I never can get over this. I'm always like throwing pounds at restaurant workers here, and they look at me like I'm nuts, because in the United States, restaurant workers don't have a salary, so they either get tips or they don't make any money. So you can work for 8 hours in the United States and walk out and have no money. My class is much more theoretical. But the truth of me is that I've been an activist in the trenches all my life. 5 taxi drivers committed suicide in the last month. And those memorials for them were about the loss of unions, the loss of an organized workforce, and the acceptance of young people of a so-called informal economy where you don't have Social Security, you do not have Medicare, you don't even have hopes of those things. So I joined the Sanders campaign, Slavoj, because I am with you. Right now in the Democratic Party, there is a real split between those who will remain totally committed to the capitalist side and the imperfect, campaign of Bernie Sanders.
And the 2 women that I mentioned.
Yeah.
And so on.
What?
Do you have any problem? No, it's not an evil, sorry for the interruption. It's not an evil thing that I will say now. I just want your opinion because you know probably much more than me. How do you view the other 2 central names? There are others, Elizabeth Warren, Alessandria, and so on.
I knew Elizabeth Warren when I was a professor at the University of Pennsylvania. She was a right-wing Reaganite, and the University of Pennsylvania had the most progressive law school curriculum in the country.
But this doesn't
and this is Elizabeth Warren. And I taught as a first year of classes, a class called Income Security. Elizabeth Warren said there is no more ridiculous idea than national health care. That's the Elizabeth Warren I knew. She's in her 30s at this time. She was the henchwoman of the right-wing takeover to destroy the left-wing curriculum. I taught workers' rights. I taught the National Labor Relations Act, which doesn't exist anymore for the most part. It's not taught in any law school in the United States. I taught income security, and I taught jurisprudence. Elizabeth was against all those things. I don't really know Elizabeth Warren personally. I just know her as a right-wing Republican. And somehow or another, God came out of the heavens and turned her into a Democrat. Probably at the very moment that Derek Bell stepped down from Harvard, because he would not work anymore until they hired an African-American woman. Now, she couldn't pretend she was black, so she pretended she was African. She was Native American. That's not what we call people who are Native Americans, because they're First Nations people. Apaches and Cherokees were nations, and no such thing as a Native American. But Elizabeth checked that box just when Derek Bell was stepping down. She goes to Massachusetts, she becomes a Democrat. There is no more relentless ruthless nihilist that I have ever met in my entire life than Elizabeth Warren. She's right up there with Donald Trump. So I can't really support her. She did succeed in destroying that progressive curriculum. And that progressive curriculum, it's one of those light things you hold on to, right? So I don't trust Elizabeth Warren as far as I can throw her. She has no policy, she doesn't understand imperialism, and has said that she's a capitalist. What she really is a technocrat who clawed her way to Harvard. I mean, that's where you want to end up, right? If you're a law professor, you want to be at Harvard. Okay, she did that, she succeeded. But as President of the United States, I wouldn't even dream of supporting her, because Bernie Sanders, whatever you think of him, like me, was chaining himself to schools to segregate them, was protesting against the Vietnam War. There are people who have held on to values through a lifetime, and those, Slavoj, are the people I trust.